Back with us is again White House columnist for thehill.com, Niall Stanage. Niall, President Trump, he selected Susan Summerall Wiles as his chief of staff. Obviously, this is a big deal. She's the first woman to hold that position. She's a longtime Trump advisor. In terms of what she could do differently than previous White House chiefs of staff, what do we expect?
I think the main thing, Adrienne, is impose some discipline on the coming Trump White House. In then President Trump's first term, one of the difficulties of his administration was that it was beset by infighting. I remember this. Every journalist that covers it remembers it, that there were people basically backstabbing each other all the time. And that did, I think, hinder the effectiveness of the administration. Now, Susie Wiles, as the leader of the campaign effort, the campaign manager, was widely praised for being able to impose some order and discipline and rigor on that Team Trump world. And if she can repeat that accomplishment in the White House, I think she will have done good service.
Yeah, and some saying that she is the only one that President Trump really listens to. I think that's something that came out in the news. Speaking of what's in the news, over the past 24 hours, there have been a lot of criticisms of the talk, the exit call between Vice President Harris and members of her staff. I mean, these are staffers who were pumped up. They were told that this was going to be a history-making win for Vice President Kamala Harris, the first woman, the first Black, South Asian, et cetera, and that democracy was on the line, and that this was crucial to the safety of our country. But when they got on the call, it was like, yeah, that was really tough. We'll try again next time. Is this going to come back to bite the Democratic Party in terms of maybe overinflating the fears around the democracy being threatened?
I think there are a couple of different ways of answering that. I think that the call that you're referring to maybe didn't have in its tone the same amount of drama or emphasis that some of the claims made before the election had. The issue of the future of democracy is a more complicated one because, generally speaking, democracy isn't an on-off switch. It's not just a straight transition from one to the other. And I think the fear among President-elect Trump's critics and among liberals is what is called in Europe soft authoritarianism. So when you have a candidate who calls political opponents vermin or threatens retribution or says that he would consider firing U.S. attorneys who do not prosecute people at his behest, then does that undercut the basic principles of democratic society, small d democratic, even if, you continue to have elections and so forth?
Well, there's a lot of young people who are among the staff and volunteers, and I'm sure that when you hear democracy is at risk, that this is a life or death scenario, not a, okay, we'll just try it again. There could be that misconception. $1 billion spent on this campaign. And there was at least one staffer reportedly who said, how in the world did you not win after spending $1 billion? There were questions about what she spent the money on in terms of the endorsements by celebrities and how costly those were. And now the campaign might be in debt. Are you hearing about that?
I'm not sure about the exact finances, but the bigger picture where the Harris campaign vastly outspent the Trump campaign and then lost is obviously an important detail to remember. We know that money can't buy elections. It is often necessary to have something substantial in the bank in order to be competitive, but it is not the case that the person who raises the most money wins. And now Vice President Harris has discovered that. She outspent overall former President Trump by about $500 million, if you include the outside committees working to elect her and working to elect him, and didn't come close to prevailing. The widest win for President-elect Trump in any of the 3 elections that he has contested.
Yeah, she spent more than double in terms of advertising than President Trump. And for sure, I think a lot of people are recognizing, and they should have already, that money really has little to do with whether or not you've got that popular attraction, that magnetic capability to have people listen to you and understand your policies. Niall Stanage, we're going to talk to you again in about an hour. Thanks for being with us. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.